Happened in the 90s.
Hi, everybody. Matt here from the Happened in the 90s podcast. Fresh off of recording the episode you're about to watch / listen to, we realized that I had made a mistake in how we export the Zoom audio, video, and we're not going to have the exact same podcast that we usually do. So we're not going to get to see me and Steve talking as much. That's on me. I'm going to eat a little crow on this one. But we did want to release this. We had a bunch of technical shit happen, and we didn't even think we were going to get this one out, but we did. Unfortunately, Matt fucked it up just a bit. So hope you love the episode, and we'll be back next week with video, real video of us talking about shit in the 90s. So thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next week, guys. Sorry about that. Peace.
Fresh baked bread, piled with extra lean, juicy ham. Oven roasted turkey breast, topped with the classic taste of...
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Introducing Subway's new Turkey and Ham Dijon. Turkey, ham, and the great taste of Grey Poupon mustard, now for a limited time on your choice of rolls. At Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
So what's up? Welcome to Happen in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. I'm Steve G. And this is Matt.
What up? How
So
you doing, Steve?
get out your Lisa Frank Trapper Keepers and disposable cameras, because we have a great episode in front of us. I'm doing good.
I feel fantastic. First of all, guys, this is a ghetto-ass podcast, so we just had a rough week of technical difficulties. So just to be here looking at my buddy Steve, living this glorious life, this is a great day. Look at that. I'm just going to get, this is another flex. China! Just rip one for China real quick, Steve. Thank you. But I'm excited because not only are we covering 90s wrestling, which we'll get to how amazing it is, but we're covering what I call the best sitcom / show of all time, Martin. So I'm in my glories right now, Steve.
Yes, indeed. The 90s was a great time, man. 1990, we had Royal Rumble 90 in Orlando, Florida. And these are some of the best, some of the GOATs, Hall of Fame, just legendaries, man, in their prime. From Randy Savage to Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant, Ultimate Warrior, the Immortal Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes, and this motherfucker has been wrestling for like 100 years. He's just like a fat Ric Flair, just killing it, dude. I love it. And
he's just a common man.
Also, I gotta say, there were some characters that I didn't remember. They were like, passing characters in the WWF realm at that point. But the model Rick Martel, I fucking love that guy. That guy's a beast. I mean, obviously, I didn't forget him, but like Jake the Snake, seeing him do a promo, I forgot what that was like. So all around, this isn't the like best year for this that we could watch. I feel like if we went ahead a couple more years, like when Razor Ramon started becoming a thing, like those to me were the real years where I was as a kid just all over this shit. But this one, here's what I love about Royal Rumble. It's promo after promo. So you just get random coked up guys flexing and yelling at the camera for hours on end. And then I didn't remember that they had so much pageantry and other things that weren't just the Royal Rumble on these events. So
such as
the Jim Cornette thing with Randy Savage's Queen Sherry, where they brought out Dusty Rhodes. I don't remember Queen Bee. I don't remember what she was to him.
Oh, Sapphire.
Yeah, whatever that
You
was.
called her Queen Bee.
Whatever the fuck it was. What? First of all, I mean, we're gonna cut to a clip of this if we can find it. Let me just preface that by saying that. But what was that, Steve? Can you explain to me what we saw at the gym, whatever that was? Explain to the viewers what we're talking about.
You're talking about Brother Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sapphire was a random audience member at one of the television tapings, and Dusty Rhodes had a match, and he liked to dance. That was his thing, and he picked her out of the crowd, and they got in the ring, and then he did a number, and like they kind of took that and ran with it, and he became like his girlfriend or his side piece, whatever. And Sapphire would start coming out to the shows with him wearing the polka dots and everything. And at the time, he had a beef with the Macho Man, or as I say, the Macho King.
Can we explain that? We'll get to that too, but continue, because I didn't get that either. I didn't remember that.
Macho King, well, that was the thing too, but they had a beef, Macho King and Queen Sherry, and they figure, hey, if his rival has a chick with him, let's give Dusty a chick, like some kind of protege, and she can be like a working class kind of feminine character or whatever. But that was the thing, man. And so with Macho King, they would carry this whole, like before it was Harley Race. Harley Race was the king. Okay. And I believe Hacksaw Jim Duggan beat him. And then when Macho Man beat Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he became the king. They eventually did away with that whole deal.
I was gonna say, did somebody usurp his throne, and then he just became the Macho Man? Like he went rogue and just had to walk the earth whooping ass?
They had that career match, him and Ultimate Warrior in WrestleMania 7, and then once Warrior beat Randy, I think they just did away with that whole king history, that whole story.
I was thinking the whole time, because I do remember that the action figure I had of Macho Man when I was a kid did come with a crown. So maybe at the time it was from that. But the thing I want to go back to in the Brother Love thing was the slightly bizarre tone of the whole event because basically it's an in-ring promo. He has Sherry there, and they're like being cocky, saying, "Oh, we're better than everybody. We're, if you're the king, or if he's the king, you're the queen." And then they bring whatever, I can't remember. I can never. Sapphire. They bring her out, and then they just berate this bitch for like 6 minutes in ring during a pay-per-view. So if you paid for this, you just watch Jim, the guy, what's his name? Brother Love? Yeah. I forget what
Brother Love, his real name is, I almost call him Jim Cornette.
It's not that.
Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard. Well, and he has a great show.
Sherry, to me, it came off as a little racist. I'm going to be honest. When I see two
it did.
Yelling at a black woman, and she looks scared most of the time, which I was trying to think if she was like the first. Remember, they had old women wrestle for a while in like later on when DX and stuff. I thought maybe that was what's going on, but yeah, I didn't like the Brother Love thing in tone, but I did like it in the fact that they did it. And the one thing my wife took away from this whole thing, she is not like a huge wrestling fan, but
most women aren't.
Yeah, exactly. But she knows the hitters. She knows Hulkster. Yeah. She knows all the guys.
Of course, yeah.
We were watching it, and she literally said, is everyone that do they have a bowl of cocaine that they make people do before they do anything for this? Because a promo, like, if we can get the promo of like Macho Man, or like Rick Rude was literally coked up, sweating. All he did was just flex the whole time. I don't even know that he talked.
Yeah, he
So
was a
it was a
legit badass
huge.
too, though.
I mean, all
Rick
props
Rude.
to Rick Rude, because I mean,
Yeah,
if he didn't get laid every night that he wrestled, then there was something wrong with the world, because the guy was literally like Magic Mike in real life as a pro wrestler. Because I think maybe that's what it was, honestly.
I mean, he was supposed to be this Chippendales esque uh, grappler, but his promos were legit, man. He was one of the best mic workers, and he was a legit badass
Yeah.
by all accounts, man. Like people respected him in the locker room. They knew that he was not to be fucked with.
Well, and also another thing watching this, because basically what this was, I watched all these. You and I have talked about this before, but we lived in the same area when we were kids. And I'm
Yeah,
sure Steve went to this place, but Video Connection in Perrysburg, Ohio, you could rent all of this. You didn't even have to pay. You
for
just
free
put it.
99.
I mean, there was shit like I would watch all these. So for me, watching them now, just totally forgot the insanity, like all the weird characters, all the really non-PC characters that they had. And just remembering how intense there was no, it was like every interview was just like a guy like, let me tell you something, Ingene, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody if I get like, and they're just frothing. I feel like Rick Rude literally was wiping coke off his nose at one point, like he did the coke nose thing. And as an adult, it's like a different tone that I'm seeing now. Like I was just caught up in it as a kid, and now when I see it, I'm like, oh man, that guy, he ain't gonna last too much longer. His heart's got to be about to stop. I'm concerned for a lot of these guys. Earthquake, I'm surprised he didn't lose a fucking leg or something to goddamn
He's dead.
diabetes.
He's dead.
Oh, damn it! Earthquake.
So one thing I like to do because I have a six-its of whatever. When I watch these old pay reviews, I do a death count, and man,
Okay.
it's astounding.
I mean, it's got to be astronomical because Big Boss Man's dead. Most of the undercard's dead, right?
Most of the top card, the middle card, and the side parts of the card, like Andre the Giant, gone. Randy Savage, dead. Roddy Piper, dead. Ultimate
Brutus?
Warrior.
Is Brutus alive?
Brutus is still with us. Brother Brutai. Who else we got?
His thing, though, by the way. What would you classify Brutus the Barber Beefcake as? Was he like a male stripper who cut hair?
He's the Rick Rude that didn't make the cut. He aspired to be Rick Rude. He like Brutus the Barber Beefcake is a Chippendales reject.
Yeah. And then he would literally cut people's hair after the match. Like he brought scissors to the ring, which maybe it's just me being protective, but that just seems like an accident waiting to happen, Brutus. Let's not put some safeties on those or something.
Now, he had a match with the Genius, but before we get into the actual matches, man, it's kicked off with Tony Schiavone and Jesse the Body Ventura, and I feel like people don't give him enough credit when it comes to him doing these pay-per-views, because he always has some kind of like smart ass retort when it comes to the good guys, and him and Bobby the Brain Heenan are some of the best, man. And this is a rare event because Tony Schiavone's NWA guy or a WCW guy, so it's rare seeing him doing a WWF event.
Damn, I knew that name, and I didn't even know. I didn't place that. You're right. He was a WCW guy. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was the guy that was on Nitro for years, man. And but back in the late 80s going into the 90s, he had a very short contract, and once that contract was up, he headed back down south to do business with Eric Bischoff and those guys. But so Jesse the Body Ventura, he's wearing this Mickey Mouse sweater and Mouseketeer ears. I guess because it's Florida, it's Orlando, they're in Disney World.
God.
And
90s
just
Orlando, Florida, Steve. I lived in Orlando, Florida in the 2000s and 90s. The amount of everything there must have been just astronomical. Obviously, the cocaine was insane.
oh yeah, and Jesse the Body's loud ass Mickey Mouse sweater and kicking
Yeah,
off the pay per view.
and the ears, Jesse. Did you have to wear the ears with your scumbag ponytail thing that you got going on?
Man, Minnesota, that's your governor. Is this your king?
Are you trying to tell me the CIA didn't do a black ops for 9/11? Are you trying to tell me? What, like, when did he flip into that? But I will say that was a great Jesse the Body. I gotta give myself.
Yeah. When did you kept that to yourself?
I mean,
How long have
I
you
had
known
that
that?
just waiting, and I just was scared to. I haven't done it in a while because I used to do it when I watched him and his he had like a conspiracy theory show that was insane.
Yeah,
Later back in the day, but yeah, I gotta say, I'll bust out Jesse every once in a while. Are you trying to tell me, Steve, that me, the Minnesota governor? Okay, I lost it. But we'll get it back.
Hey, Ric Flair says he gives you a woo for that. He gives you a woo.
But
Yeah, man.
I gotta say, here's what I like about him as an announcer. He is the heel announcer.
Yeah.
You know, he supports all the shitty things that the villains are doing, and he validates that, and I love that. So
Yeah, there's an art to it.
and he was a good ass wrestler too. It was way back in the day shit, but I do remember. I mean, obviously, there was only a few people that I knew of. I didn't know about NWA and shit when I was a kid or any of that stuff. But yeah, he was great, and I gotta say, man, I'm impressed. Your historical knowledge of all this wrestling. Everything, even the announcer, the Tony Schiavone reference, salute.
Oh yeah, man. He was a longtime NWA/WCW guy, but he hit the circuit. You know, he's one of those guys that he grew up being a fan.
Yeah.
And you know, kicking off this event is the fabulous Rougeau brothers with Jimmy Hart as their manager versus the Bushwackers. And the Bushwackers, they come out doing their thing, and Jesse calls them marching morons, and I found that hilarious.
I mean, what was their thing? Were they clinically like maybe like they had? I don't want to use the wrong word here, but we all know what I'm thinking.
They got it out the mud. They were from New Zealand, and they were supposed to be kind of like the New Zealand version of Cajuns in a way, because they were from the swamps and the
Did they say they were from New Zealand, or that's just what you know about them?
Yeah, they were from New Zealand, and they would have caviar, not caviar, but sardines. They would eat sardines sometimes.
I don't remember that.
They were nasty. They were raunchy. They were old dirty bastards. And you know, Bushwhackers, they actually in the Hall of Fame, man. And what I noticed is the Hall of Fame, they have different tiers. Every year, even though these are some people that we didn't really like, were big fans of, they served a purpose as far as being a fan favorite. And that was the Bushwhackers thing. They were never supposed to be the tag team champions or headliners, but they were out to come out in the opening match or middle match and, you know, make the kids go crazy and like do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
hell yeah.
Know,
that was the only thing they had. Is to me, like their finishing move, all respect to the Bushwhackers, who again, I'm sure they're dead. Maybe they're not.
No, they're alive.
They're alive.
Barely.
Okay. That's insane.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. I'm not against it, but their finishing move that I saw in this match that we're talking about is one of the weakest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. So
the battering ram,
just the human battering ram situation. I mean, come on, like what are we doing here? And also the weight of the head. Like I guess now maybe because we're in a pandemic, it's a little more sensitive. But how? Like if you told me I had to lick some sweaty ass dude's head, like. They're sweating constantly. All these wrestlers, if they're not moving, their heart's pumping 1,000 miles a minute because of all the supplements and the coke that they've been doing. So I don't like that, Steve. I gotta say, I'm not a fan. I didn't like the Bushwhackers as a kid. I thought they were whack. So
Yeah, I thought they were whack too. And the Bushwhackers were pretty whack. They didn't really get me out of my couch, but uh, they
They're better than the
they had a
fabulous Rougeaus, though. Like, what a I mean, I, it was so weird to me how some people get like characters, and then there's these guys who are like the perennial guy who just gets his ass kicked. You know,
yeah.
like remember the guy Brooklyn Brawler?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he had a better like thing than the fabulous Rougeaus, but that guy, he just served to get beat on.
he was a jobber,
Yeah.
and
That's the
the
name. I'm
Rougeaus
sorry. That's the name. I forgot about that.
they were kind of a jobber-esque tag team because they lost this match due to the Bushwhackers giving them the battering ram from the back, and uh, they end up winning the match. And they go to licking heads. They get
Oh,
their heads licked from fans, and then they go back to their hotels where they get their heads licked and
oh yeah.
probably whack some bush because they just won their pay-per-view match on television.
That's actually just women just beating them off. That's what they're telling. It's like, this is what's going to happen later, guys. Oh, there was a lot of that too. That was like, here's a catchphrase a lot of people used. Oh, some version of that, you know. And there's a lot of guys whose thing appeared to be that they're one test away from being declared clinically mentally incompetent. Hacksaw Jim Duggan had a fucking googly eye that I didn't remember. Did you see
Man,
that?
he
Mo? He
yeah,
has a
well,
Google eye, Steve.
he has a googly eye and he stumbled over his promo. I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught that. Yeah. But after this match, Million Dollar Man shoots a promo and we find out that he draws number one. Uh,
He's not happy about it either. He is not pleased.
yeah.
But
But
apparently he has some shenanigans the last year where he's the $1 million man. He's gonna pay to get what he wants, obviously. I would. And he paid to
yeah,
get he paid to get the best spot. So he got punished this one. And I felt for him. Although I'm gonna ask you a
but he,
question about $1 million man in a second.
yeah. But he did make do with that spot.
He killed it. And I gotta say, I love $1 million man as like a character. I love his attire, not his in ring, but just his like the belt. He had the $1 million belt. He had the glistening the guy from Price is Right, like a black version of that jacket. Just a nice
Rod
sparkling
Roddy.
jacket. Whatever his name, Roddy. And I think Ted DiBiase as a kid, I don't know why, maybe it was just the money thing. He just had like a great song. He had a good laugh. Like his whole like demeanor was good. But I got to ask you, as a fan and as a historian, what was Virgil's thing with the $1 million man? They say
Uh,
bodyguard, but I don't
he was
like what I see there. What do you think?
well. I mean, just like the Bushwhackers licking people and licking each other, that's another thing that probably wouldn't go far in this day
Yeah.
and age because, I mean, he was like low key a servant. I mean, no, he was a servant. He was like a slave, a modern slave. He was his manservant, and he's kind of telling Virgil what to do. And
Yelling
Virgil
at
is
him. There's a
boisterous.
lot of animosity. It's like aggressive. He's like, "You fucked this up."
Yeah,
He
and
blames
he's not
it.
saying shit. I would feel like kind of awkward watching that as a kid. Like, man, damn, that don't feel right.
I mean, I remember wondering, like, just as a kid, you know, like at this time, and we were 7, or I was 7 in '90. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in such a sheltered fucking area in Pennsylvania, and like at that time, that I mean, I don't even know that I was. It did seem weird because I remember being a kid, being like, I wonder why that guy, like, he's so mean to that guy. Because I'm a little, I'm a little boy just watching it, but watching it now, it's strange. And also, have you ever heard any rumors about Virgil the man in the locker room at all? Like crazy shit?
Yeah, they say he likes to bring the thing out from
Yeah,
time to time.
and do stuff.
When in Yeah,
You know what? I don't want to disrespect the man because he actually went away from Ted DiBiase. I don't know that he ever attained anything of real, like his
No,
own like character other than being
no.
Virgil. Even when wasn't he in NWO?
He was in WO as Vincent.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, doing the exact same thing, having no voice, no mic time,
Maybe he
and
sucks at promos. Like maybe it's one of those things, or maybe they're just all right.
okay. So, fun fact about Mr. Virgil slash Vincent, his real name is Mike Jones, and
Oh, that's cool.
so when Dusty Rhodes' real name is Virgil, and the rumor has it that Vince McMahon named a manservant Virgil because Dusty Rhodes was the big star for for his opponent, his competition. He was the big star of the 70s and the 80s. And so
Damn.
$1 Million Man was created in the image of Vince McMahon. He said that if I was to ever be a wrestler, this is the kind of guy I would be. And hence $1 Million Man was created. And his manservant is named Virgil, the real name of Dusty Rhodes. So when Mike Jones slash Virgil went to WCW, they named him Vincent as a take that Vince McMahon.
Damn. What the fuck?
It's petty in those wrestling streets, man.
That's hilarious though, that in Vince McMahon's mind, when he was like obviously he was like a big entity then in the 90, but to think that he was watching $1 Million Man and like, yeah, that's fucking me. That's exactly what I'm like, y'all. Like,
Yep.
what?
And I got the
is
money
fucking
and
hilarious.
this sparkly belt, and then I'm gonna have this guy named Virgil.
Yeah, but I gotta say, $1 Million Man, I don't know what, what say he had and all that.
Yeah.
But that guy was a good villain. He was a good heel. I liked seeing him. He cut a good promo. He was one
And then
that didn't like, he was not as intense as some of the other people cutting promos. Let's just say that.
no, he talked he did a lot of capping, as the kids would say. He did a lot of flexing about his wealth.
Yeah,
And
I love it.
after he shoots his promo, the Genius has a match with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake is the Chippendales reject that we had mentioned, and he wins. Well, it comes down to a double disqualification because Brutus puts Genius in a sleeper hold while the referee is out, but Mr. Perfect comes out and he beats the shit out of Brutus the Barber.
Why did he do that, Steve? Why did he come out and beat his ass?
Because Brutus the Barber Beefcake is good friends with Hogan, and this is around a time when Mr. Perfect is having a beef with Hogan, and the Genius is his protege, is Mr. Perfect's protege. So to back up his boy, it's like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna come in this ring, superplex your ass, perfect plex your ass, and call it a day. But not before Brutus the Barber gives the Genius a haircut with his.
And I see, to me, when I saw that, and I understand there were storylines involved, but I saw a man, Mr. Perfect, who had voluptuous hair, and he saw another man who had voluptuous hair getting it hacked off, and he said, "I can't handle that. I'm stepping in. Fuck you, bully. You're not cutting this man's beautiful hair." But I get it wasn't that, but I have to say, for Genius, that is, I remember him. I remember that guy and that persona. Awful wrestling persona. To come out and to read a poem of some kind, even if it's as well crafted as any, whatever, it's not a good look. And I did not care for that. I wanted Brutus the Barber Beefcake to cut his hair, and but I was happy to see Mr. Perfect because he's literally probably in my top 5 all-time favorite wrestlers.
Mr. Perfect, yeah, may he rest in paradise.
I can still spit my gum out and hit it just like him. I perfected that because I loved him so much, and that's my salute to. Is his name Paul Hennig?
Kurt Hennig.
Kurt Hennig. Yeah, that's my salute that I do to him every day. I have gum. I just go, and I fucking hit it just like he did.
Do you hit it every time?
I mean, I do it. I do. I got so good at it, Steve. I never miss.
You're flawless.
I'm
100%.
Mr. Perfect. Not
That's
just
your
with the
batting
gum.
average.
Not anything else of Kurt Hennig's abilities, but definitely the gum spit. He would be proud. He looks down. He's
Yeah.
like, that kid gets it.
300
Also, he
bowling
threw the
score.
best punches. Him and Bret Hart threw the best punches in wrestling back then. They looked so dope when they did it.
I like Bret Hart's and Shawn Michaels. I didn't really care for Shawn Michaels, the rest of the shit, but like his punches I always liked. But he Mr. Perfect, can you do a 300 bowling score?
Oh, I mean, no.
Okay.
It's all the gum spit. That's all I got.
That's where it stops.
That's
All
where
right.
it stops.
What about the behind the back tile flip?
I'll pull that one. I'll give that I'm gonna bust that out on my wife the next time I shower and just be like, check this out, honey. I guarantee I'm gonna get laid after I do it. That's why he did it.
Dude,
salute.
If you model your life after Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, I mean, the pussy jumps on you.
I mean, I'm clearly that guy every day. The reason he was that wasn't even sweat on his body or in his weird blonde hair. You know, he always came out and it was very like wet looking. That wasn't water, guys. Kurt Hennig was in like a jacuzzi tub full of PJ and women just, oh my God, Kurt. Put on that weird neoprene fucking thing. Put on that wrestling. Oh my God, that hair.
Him and Bret Hart came out some of the slipperiest motherfuckers, I swear.
I mean, did they put all the Jerry curl juice in there or whatever that was? It wasn't water. It was like some kind of greasy shit that they put in there was something in there. That's also what I loved about wrestling. Like these guys like Hulk Hogan too, they'd come out with this look, but they would always deteriorate.
This is Kurt Hennig.
Put like 30 of those on your head and you basically got it. That's hilarious.
Actually, this is the genius.
Mean, read a poem right now, Steve, because that's basically what his fucking persona was. That was so whack. But here's what I did forget about wrestling at all in this time. The managers had like stables of guys. Like they were pimps and they had all these like hookers in WWE. Like the Brain had Andre the Giant. He had Rick Rude and
Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, and Jimmy Hart had a bunch. I mean, he was out in basically every fucking match that before and during the Royal Rumble. I think
it's great you brought that up, man, because as a kid, I overlooked how much work these managers were putting in, even though they weren't in the matches, dude. They, like you said, they managed different wrestlers in this event, and I didn't even realize, like, dude, they come out every time just about with their wrestler. They're working like quadruple time. They come out with the wrestler in their singles matches, and then they come out with the Royal Rumble. And I know Jimmy Hart, he had at the time the Rougeaus brothers, he had Earthquake, he had Greg the Hammer Valentine. He had quite a few people, man. So shout out to those managers, man. Bobby Heenan, Reverend
Bobby
Slick,
Heenan.
Doctor.
Come on.
Yeah,
Bobby Heenan.
dope,
that guy, is he dead? I don't want to like.
Dude, he died the day after. He died on my birthday in 2017.
Well, rest in peace, Bobby Heenan, Bobby the Brain, the legend. But that guy, as an announcer, he was an all-encompassing guy. It's crazy. Some of these people went on, like Jimmy Hart really just did that, his thing. Like he maintained doing a manager role. I mean, he was in WCW, right?
Yeah, he followed Hogan because at the time he was Hogan's manager. And then when he got to WCW, he started managing other people. But also, man, Jimmy Hart, he wrote some of those classic songs, man, from WWF. Yeah,
what?
He was an actual musician before he became a manager. That's why that was always his thing. He was always working with like the musician wrestlers. So he took a part in that. It was another guy that did a lot of the writing for those songs. But Jimmy Hart, he did. He's responsible for "I Am a Real." Like he
what?
Did that.
That is,
Jimmy
I mean,
Hart,
can we just make that the national fucking anthem at this point? That shit is goddamn a classic. That's insane. But he was also taking lumps too. I mean, in a couple of these matches, he actually got pounded a little bit. So I mean,
You did.
but I have a business idea for you right now, Steve. And
Yeah.
it's very heavy on Jimmy, the Mouth of the South Heart, being a part of it. I want to have a museum that has every airbrushed outfit that he ever wore in his career cataloged and displayed, much like you see at like a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where you know it's in a glass case. There's a little explanation, maybe a picture of the event. But him, maybe Rick Rude's pants. I remember being there was a lot of customization on some of these wrestlers' outfits at the time that we need to catalog these if they're still around at some point. So I'm floating that out. Everybody listening, this is our idea. So Jimmy, if you're listening, the Mouth of the South, please let's talk some turkey here. Let's get this going. This museum could be huge.
Vince would take us to court and we'd be broke and penniless if we ever attempted anything related to his business.
You're fired. That's my Vince McMahon impersonation.
Well,
I'm going to keep them coming, Steve.
So after Brutus the Barber has his match with Genius, Haku, Ravishing Rick Rude, and Andre the Giant with Bobby Heenan, they shoot a promo with Sean Mooney. And Haku is another one of those guys that was a badass. There are epic stories. I don't know if you watch shoot interviews where like the wrestlers are out of character and they're speaking as themselves. And you know, common question is, who do you think is one of the biggest badasses in wrestling? And his name is brought up a lot, Haku.
I mean, I bet that
time I did
whip some ass. I'll tell you that. He's a big, thick mother dude that. I mean, he was bigger than most of the fucking wrestlers in the Royal Rumble, for God's sake.
Well, dude, he's Samoan, man. He's Samoan, so they come out of the womb looking like fullbacks.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like that. There was a guy who played for the Steelers that had an insane name that he looks a lot like Chemo. It was like, I forget his name. Sorry.
Well, Palomalu is a Samoan, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Palomalu, but he was like two Palomalus stacked on top of each other, basically.
Was he playing at the same time as Palomalu?
Who?
The guy you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was like a fullback or some shit, but he had like this, he was a crazy, like big ass Samoan dude. But anyway, I mean, all those guys are huge. The thing I didn't like about Haku, he doesn't really have any character. He's just a giant badass and good at wrestling. You know?
Yeah. He would eventually be. Man,
I'm a DX guy. I'm not like a fucking Steven Regal guy. I don't want to see a lot of that nonsense.
You don't come for the technical shit.
Yeah, what was that one guy? Jim something. He was in like more modern day, but he was like a throwback dude that they used in WWF. I forget his name now.
You're talking about Bob Backlund.
Yeah. That guy.
Yeah. Now when he turned into a crazy man, that was interesting. Yeah. That was a good character.
Again, add some cocaine. That's what I feel like all these successful characters, that's what they did. They're like, just get this guy jacked up on some blow and I mean, watch. Because Ultimate Warrior, I mean, all they did was inject him with drugs and roids, and then he wouldn't even face the fucking camera half the time. He would just be spinning around in a daze.
Dude, he wouldn't even make sense.
No.
He wouldn't even make sense half the time.
Imagine if you did so much cocaine that you just cut up a bunch of neon ribbons, wrapped them around your arms and legs, and just started screaming and spitting at a camera for 5 minutes. I mean, I'd be embarrassed. Yeah. Hogan. I mean, my wife,
like a 3-year-old girl's tricycle.
It made no sense, dude. But I'm sorry. I keep like hijack. I know we're trying to like go in order here. So
now, after that promo, they had a submission match between Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Greg the Hammer Valentine, looking like a middle-aged lesbian phys ed teacher.
I mean, dude, Greg the Hammer Valentine, did he have teeth? Does he have any teeth in his mouth? Because
it's just lip.
Yeah. and a lot of fucked up hair. I mean, he had that white guy hair we just talked about, that Steve Bannon hair. I mean, they might be related.
What? Speaking of lesbian teachers, dude, remember in high school? Did you ever have Miss Durr?
That
Dude,
name
she
sounds
was
so familiar.
she was the dykiest of dykes, man. And no offense to the LGBTQ, but she was a lesbian, okay? And she had a short haircut like Tim Allen, and her name. It's ironic that her last name was Durr, and she was a Miss. It was Miss Durr, and it
That's
didn't.
fucking crazy.
And she was obviously a lesbian, and
I think I
it
remember
just
this woman now. Like she was super kind of short.
she was about average height.
Did she have like a brick top haircut, basically, like that like spiky like
No,
woman
dude,
who
she had a
bowls a lot
haircut.
haircut?
She had a haircut like Tim Allen from like season 3 of Home
Yeah,
Improvement.
yeah. There
Like,
we go. I remember Miss Durr. That is crazy. I
yeah,
never put that. Do you think she did that on purpose?
dude,
She,
that was her name because her dad was Mister Durr. He was like a old school teacher. You don't remember him, Mister Durr? He was like the big dude that.
I know I
Oh
remember
man.
these names, but honestly, Steve, you paid attention in high school, and I checked out high school. So
Well, dude, like I hate the fact that we didn't take advantage of that. Like the joke sold itself. Her name was Miss Durr, and it didn't have dawned to me that like until years later after I graduated PHS, man. And us, dude,
my
we did
mind's
not
blown
take
right
advantage of
now
that.
thinking that she did that and changed the whole family name. So she's like, nah, I want to be the most masculine woman I can be. What's more masculine than being called Miss Durr? You know, she's sitting in there like lifting weights, like, how can I gotta pump these fucking kids up a little bit? Miss Durr. They're never gonna disrespect that. So
Say my
masculine.
name, Mister.
Speaking, okay, this might be something I'm conflating in my head, but this is a 90s thing. We're talking about us in the 90s. So speaking of teachers and giving them shit, were you in I think it was a science class where we had a student teacher named Miss Buck?
Oh, Nuck, if you buck.
And we tortured this woman so badly that she quit. Like, I think she literally told us that she quit because of us in class.
Oh man,
Because we
yeah,
made her
I hated that
cry.
class.
Whoever it wasn't me.
Me?
I think it
No,
was you, Steve. I think you were there.
no.
I really
I
feel
was.
like you were, but maybe not because you were smart. I don't think we were in the same like science classes, but maybe it was in high school actually. Like it was maybe not a biology, but a science class, and we
I
terrorized this woman to the point in tears. She's like, "I just wanted to teach."
It was a joint effort. I think we were all a unruly mob,
Yeah.
and now I do remember our was it chemistry teacher? I can't remember her name, but she like we had to go to her class after school to like study for a test or something, and
No,
she had to.
if you sucked on a test, you got to go and correct it and get a better
Yup,
grade just so you
yup.
didn't fail the fucking class.
You already know where I'm going with this. So she had these cookies, and we weren't
Oh
like
no.
we never asked to eat any of the cookies, but she just walked out of the class and you just took one of the cookies. I was like, dude, how are the cookies? And you were like, man, they're pretty nasty as fuck. Some shit like that. And then she just happened to walk in and she was like, Matthew. And then you were no, and you were just like, that shit. Still to this day, I think about that. It is fucking hilarious, man. Like,
I do believe me. I
it,
remember that too because I was like, "You fucking suck," and like literally look over and she's right there, like Matthew.
dude, that shit had me. And like, you were so stuck, like,
I
and
mean,
no,
there was
none of us.
nothing to do with. I was like, "Am I gonna get expelled for eating a fucking cookie this bitch made?"
Dude, man, you hurt her feelings, man. Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
I got too much. Like I was just not. I was a class clown too much, and that woman, she didn't like that, and our geometry teacher definitely didn't like that either, because he actively like would call my mom and be like, "Your son is misbehaving in my class," and I'd be like, What the fuck, man? Like, just let me
Mr.
get a C in your class and just live my life, okay?
Mr. Harvey.
Oh, was that it? What his name was?
That was the geometry teacher.
Yeah, dude. Fuck him, bro.
Chris with the K.
That guy,
Every
is he the
Chris
one with the
begins with
fucking
K.
crazy? He had the crazy teeth, right? He was
No,
like
you talking about no, he was cool.
Gentry?
You talking about the guy we had junior year.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but he was cool because he would let me cuss.
yeah. He was. I
And
mean, again, like we got into an understanding, but he involved my parents like way early in a process. I was, you know, it's like, of course, you talk a lot in class, you get in trouble. I've had that happen, but he literally like week 3 was like, he went above and beyond and called my mom, and you know, come on. I think his name was David Gentry. Now that I think about it.
oh, you're talking about a different guy. I don't think I had Gentry.
I feel like that's his name, but whatever. We're telling stories about how shitty of a kid I was, guys. This is 90s shit. I was basically like a fat Dennis the Menace problem child type kid that, you know, I wasn't really doing anything bad. I just talked a lot. I just didn't like to pay attention. So Steve's
But all
education
of that,
probably suffered a lot. You know, I'm sorry for that, Steve. I apologize, but
hey,
you were
that's
having
what you signed up
we were
for.
talking about this shit back then. We should have just did a podcast back then. Had we known, Steve?
And you know, rugged Ronnie Garvin, he ends up winning the match after he makes Greg the Hammer Valentine submit. And after that, Mr. Perfect shoots a promo with Mean Gene, and we find out that he picked the perfect number 30.
Of course he did. Are we like, is anyone surprised by this? Again, look at his name. He's perfect.
Now, after this, the vignette that you're talking about with Brother Love, he interviews sensational Queen Sherry and Sapphire. Sapphire slaps the shit out of Sherry. Macho Man comes out. Dusty comes out. Macho jumps on Dusty. Sapphire jumps on Macho, and all hell breaks loose. Now, Sherry and Macho run off, leaving Brother Love in the ring, calling Dusty Rhodes white trash. And Dusty puts the paws on him, and Sapphire slaps the shit out of Brother Love.
Oh yeah.
And insane. This is followed by a hacksaw Jim Duggan stumbling through his promo with Sean Mooney.
Was he drunk? Do you think he was drunk? Or was it literally brain damage? Like it could have been all both, maybe. I don't know.
He was drunk and high, possibly. And
wow.
so
he was really, but he was preaching a good ideal, you know, like he was all about America. From what I remember, like
yeah, he was.
He was like the American guy, because when the Desert Storm War happened, I remember he was like he did shit for the troops back then. So
yeah,
something
that's
must
always
have
been his
happened
thing.
between then and 1990, where
Well,
a little of that, you know what I'm saying?
it's funny you bring that up because in the mid 80s, when Jim Duggan first came to the WWF, he had a feud with Iron Sheik, and they both got fired because they were pulled over by the police driving together going to the next town, and Iron Sheik and Jim Duggan had weed, cocaine, and I believe some alcohol with them. And because of that, Vince had to let them go because that just defeated the storyline. How could you be at each other's necks when you're driving together and doing blow and smoking joints? Like it make sense, you know?
But I gotta
Gotta
say, as like a person in this world, what more example do you need of unity and what's possible in this world than Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik in a car together, doing drugs, getting crazy, having fun? Would you ever pick, if you saw those two people in a room, I'd never think they'd hang out. In fact, I'd figure like Hacksaw Jim Duggan would probably say something shitty to Iron Sheik, but he proved me wrong, Steve, and I didn't know that. And I also think it's funny that the brand and the fact that this is entertainment and not real was such a big deal to keep that facade up more so than it is now.
Kayfabe, they call it.
It's hilarious.
So after
like a Rasheed Wallace and a Damon Stoudemire, where they're just getting high in a car together, just, you know, blazing, they get caught by the cops. I mean, salute to you guys. That makes Hacksaw Jim Duggan way cooler in my book.
And also Iron Sheik. I became a fan instantly.
I mean, I'm a fan
And
of Iron Sheik anyway because that guy now is, I don't know if he's alive anymore, but he's been alive very recently and he's just an insane person and very funny. We saw him at the
Iron Sheik.
Comedy
Oh,
Store, actually, dude.
and who is this?
The Iron Sheik.
He performed. He did a set.
I mean, here's his set. I am the Iron Sheik. I am the Joe Rogan. He just kept saying like comedians' names, and then he would like somebody would come up and he would shit on him. I think Roddy Piper at the time was also doing comedy, so I think maybe they had sort of started to maybe get each other into the game a little bit. But yeah, and also listening to podcasts, he's a notorious pothead, so it goes right along with your story that he's been getting high since the 80s, which again, as a lifelong pothead, I love that.
Yeah. Now, after Duggan does his promo, he has a match with the Big Boss Man, straight out of Cobb County. And he does his ho. He comes out with the American flag in one hand and a 2x4 in the other. At one point, Big Boss Man gets on the top rope. He eventually brings out the nightstick and hits Hacksaw with it, getting disqualified in the process. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he wins the match, but that wasn't enough because Hacksaw, if you're going to hit me with the nightstick, I'm going to go upside your head with the 2x4. USA, USA.
You'll bring a nightstick to a 2x4 fight. That's just stupid.
Oh, man. So far, I think we are at a 2 dead count. Our dead count is at 2. So far, we got Big Boss Man dead. Mr. Perfect hasn't had his match yet, but he's dead. And I think that is it for now.
You're telling me the fabulous Rougeaus are still alive?
Both of them.
Bobby Heenan's dead. You said Bobby Heenan's dead, so that's 3.
That Bobby Heenan's dead, and so is Andre the Giant and Rick Rude.
God, yeah. Bobby Heenan's camp just got fucking ravaged by time. I mean, Andre the Giant, I gotta say, watching this was so like the fact he could wrestle at all. It looked like he was just in massive pain this whole time. Like every step he takes, every movement he does in the ring. He was an amazing person as a young kid. I remember just being amazed by how big he was, but watching it, just like he looks so like, everything is just so stiff and
he's in a lot of pain.
Throwing him on the ground. I mean, what did that feel like for Andre the Giant? Everyone talks about what it did to Hogan, but god damn.
Well, he was already in pain when they had that match. And by this time, he's basically 1 foot out the door. He's in a lot of pain. And as you said, like just watching him move, like every step, man, is just like grueling. So
salute though, Andre the Giant.
This next
Andre
part
the Giant impersonation, by the way, Steve.
And so the next part is my favorite, man. This is where they do the promos, and it starts off with Dino Bravo and Earthquake, both dead. With Jimmy Hart, they do their thing, and then Axe and Smash and Demolition, they're both alive. Bad News Brown, dead. Dusty Rhodes with Sapphire, dead. And then the Rockers.
Dusty Rhodes is dead?
Yeah, he died in 2015.
Motherfuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
And the Rockers, they do their promo. They're both alive, obviously. Hercules dead. Rick the Model Martel still with us. Tito Santana still with us. Superfly Jimmy Snuka dead. And man, I'm glad this person was in this pay-per-view because I know this is your guy. And I want to talk about Akeem, the African Dream. One of the best.
You die so mo. Would you ever want to lie to a friend? Bam.
Well, I met this lady and I told her quite a story. Said I love her forevermore. But the trouble is I tell the same old story to every girl that walks through the door.
I mean, that is, if you show somebody that's not initiated into that guy, him, it's the most confusing shit that you'll ever see in your life. There's so much happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the song and whatever that weird dance was that he was doing, classic. I mean, we can all do it. I'm white as shit. And I can just fucking do this shit all day.
Yes, I didn't appreciate him as a kid, but like watching it, it's just he's in on the joke because we know he's not from fucking Africa. But he's wearing this like dashiki, this whole garb, and but the theme song on top of that is so dope. You a jive soul bro, a jive soul bro, something something don't never like I don't even remember how it goes.
I didn't know that's what the word. You're a jive soul bro. That's what
You a jive soul bro, a jive soul bro.
I was
yeah.
just kind of scatting it out, like you the jive soul bro. You know, just kind of phonetically saying shit. But you know, I love it, and he looks like, to bring it to like modern times, if Thanos was just some like fat ass. Just some like 99-cent store fucking Kenny Rogers Roasters Thanos. That's basically what his color. I don't understand what it is, but
yeah.
How do you think that they came? Do you have any backstory as to how that happened? Like what was
Man,
it?
well,
It looks like he has like an Armenian almost look, like that weird. I don't know. He has like a beard where it's like I can't even understand what it is, but
well, he was one man gang in the 80s. And he had the mohawk, he was the big guy with like the biker get up, and he was a badass when he was the one man gang. He was pretty cool. And then I think they did away with that character. I guess that time had come for that character. They phased it out. And it's like, let's repackage this guy as if he was from Africa. Put a hat on him, and let's team him up with Big Boss Man because they were called the Twin Towers.
yeah, okay, I do remember that.
And Big Boss Man, he actually came out to that music during this pay-per-view. Now we know that he wouldn't keep that music because he would eventually go to the what was his theme song?
It's like I can hear it in my head, but I don't have it ready.
I got Dusty's song stuck in my head.
We'll play it. This is the magic of. I love it. It's great.
Maybe it'll come to me. But King does his promo, and then here comes the Ultimate Warrior. He will fulfill another destiny. Hulk Hogan. And I loved how he would say Hulk Hogan. It sounds like he called him a hoe. Like Hulk Hogan. Like he wasn't moving his mouth. Hulk Hogan.
I mean, everything about what that character, I get like visually, the intensity. I remember glomming onto it, and like when he would rush into a ring, just be like, oh, you know, as a kid, because he was just doing crazy shit. But watching it now, it makes no sense. He's just a yoked fucking dude with hot dog skin, just like the rest of them, insane hair, and his paint, the face paint the Ultimate Warrior has, it chips. He needs to contact the Demolition guys to get their face paint because theirs never comes off. His is always like papering off and shit in the midst of a match. But his promo, I don't like. If there was a script, I'd like to see it.
Nah, he was freestyling. And right after Ultimate Warrior comes the Macho King Randy Savage with the shades. Yeah. And a lot of people give credit to Kanye West for those blinder-like shades. Dude, he was rocking those in 1990.
I was going to say, give this man credit. I feel like a lot of things Macho Man was doing have been ripped off by culture like now. And definitely those glasses. I mean, the whole demeanor. Just, oh, yeah. Just, yeah. Like, I don't like when it gets into this kind of thing where he's just constantly like circling. I don't know where you perfect that, you know, whether that just came to him or just like evolved in some way, but I don't know how you make those choices whenever you're doing a promo, but I love those choices. Everything. And, ew, and it's just so intense. His eyes are bulging, his neck's fucking, it's a full experience. And I'm surprised he never dropped dead of a heart attack just cutting a promo, because just the effort he did for that is insane. And also, just a quick note, Queen Sherry, thank God they kicked that, whatever that is, to the curb, because it looks like he has that Zool character from Ghostbusters as his wife or queen or whatever. And
You didn't like Sherry? She was bad.
You can't, like, he got Miss Elizabeth, right? That I'm not conflating that. He had her later on, right?
Miss Elizabeth was first, and then she came back. Like Sherry was in between.
Well, Sherry's the insane. I get what was happening there. He just wanted to party, and obviously Queen Sherry had access to cocaine as well. So that whole situation I don't get. But other than that, the Macho King gets a "ooh yeah" from me right off the bat.
Queen Sherry was the closest thing to porno for me at 6 years old.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely, I bet you could dig deep. You're going to find a porno with Queen. Maybe now. You might be able to find
long enough. Now, I couldn't help.
To say, though, if there is a porno, I'd rather watch China's. Rest in peace.
I couldn't help but notice that he was wearing this cheap ass plastic crown at the, back in the 90s, man. I thought that was like top notch, but upon further review, it looks real arts and crafts, third grade.
Very Burger King birthday party, something. It's not necessarily the one they give you just like off grid, but if you're doing pay an extra $5, they'll give you that one,
And after Macho King, we have Powers of Pain with Mr. Fuji, followed by Jake the Snake, and then followed by Heart Foundation. And Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart. Once again, Jimmy fucking Hart. And last but not least, the immortal Hulkster. You gotta expect the unexpected. What is the strongest force in the WWF, brother? I don't care if it's Dino Bravo. I don't care if it's Ultimate Warrior. I don't care if it's Mr. Perfect. No one is more powerful than Hulkamania.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
Yeah, that was more Ultimate Warrior. I don't know.
My face, Hulkster? Jeez.
Yeah.
That was,
I could work with that.
Hulk Hogan. Steve and I talked about this before, but my wife looked this up. Hulk Hogan was actually our age at the time of this. He's 36 or 37 at the time. I'm 37. I feel like I look, I don't know what I should look like compared to Hulk Hogan, but he did not look 37. I thought the motherfucker was 50 years old at that point, but.
Yeah, it makes me feel so unaccomplished. By this point, he had already done Rocky III. He had hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live with Mr. T. He had been in No Holds Barred, and he's about to do Suburban Commando.
Shout out to Suburban Commando, by the way. Undertaker's first movie role, I believe.
Yeah, Mean Mark. Now, here comes the meat of this sandwich, the Royal Rumble. And coming out number one is $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase with the number one pick. Comes out with Virgil. And who comes out at number two? None other than the Birdman, Coco Beware. And Ted DiBiase goes straight to work on Coco. He ends up lasting for a minute and 36 seconds. And out comes Marty Jannetty. Jannetty, he eliminates himself after DiBiase ducks from the ropes. Now, here's my thing. Marty Jannetty only lasted for a minute and 35 seconds. I never understood why wrestlers did rope moves in the Royal Rumble when it's to avoid being thrown over the top. It's like, dude, when I'm in there, I'm going to be concentrated in the middle. This is my strategy. It's every man for himself. I'm not going to whip anybody into the ropes. I'm not going to run into the ropes. Like, it's just, you're playing with death. Like, why would you either run the possibility?
Why would you, you wouldn't go to the top rope or anything? It's like, why do anything we're putting logic to this, but I understand what you're saying. Now, a question I have to you as a wrestling expert, whenever they get into a Royal Rumble situation and there's 8 guys in the ring, right? There's just a bunch of people hitting each other and throwing each other around. Technically, how do they pull that off? Like, do they just like randomly walk up to a guy and go, I'm going to throw you up against the turnbuckle and you're going to like, how do they organize that when it's not just, you know, a tag team where there's only a few people that are set and they know what's going to happen. Like this is a whole thing that like, I guess they know who the actual winner is going to be, but how do they navigate all that middle part?
Man, it's got to be a case by case basis. It has to,
Crazy.
because I mean you can't have that whole ring with all 30 guys in there. There's just no room. It's going to be interesting how they do Royal Rumble this year with space restraints. You know,
can you throw them over the plastic barrier separating you and
right? It's like let's have 6 rings.
yeah, right.
But out comes Jake the Snake with his Damien, and him and Ted DiBiase go out of the ring. They take it back inside, and Jake goes to work with Damien just chilling by the ring post. Out comes Macho King, Randy Savage, looking like a damn trapper keeper.
I mean,
and later comes out Hot Rod.
I thought
Roddy
when Macho Man ran out, I thought a football came to life and was running up to the ring because his skin is how they achieve that level of tan is a marvel of what I guess technology. I don't know.
Macho Man looked like Saved by the Bell graphics.
Yeah. But also with a giant football, like a hot dog that got roided up and they put some straw hair on it. Some real white people hair, you know, that real dry, like it doesn't, there's nothing there. It's a few strands that have just like poofed out a little bit till it gets wetted up.
Like Roger from Doug.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just like strings.
Yeah.
What's going on, funny?
Like if most people, if they like pull their hair up, you can't like see through it. If Macho Man were to pull like a little clump of his hair up, if he could grab enough, like you just see it, you could see everything behind it. You know, there's no hair there. It's just some kind of weird spray that keeps it together, I guess. I don't know.
And now after Hot Rod Roddy Piper comes the Warlord with Mr. Fuji. And then here comes Bret Hart. Not too long after that, Bad News Brown comes out. He eliminates Macho King in no time. And Andre the Giant's big ass comes out. Now, let me ask you, Matt, if you're in the ring, you're a wrestler, it's Royal Rumble, and you see this 8th wonder of the world coming down, what is your strategy?
I mean, these people didn't want to team up. It was like there would be a couple guys, but then they just lose focus or move on to something else. If I saw Andre the Giant, I'd jump over the rope because I don't want his big ass falling on me or anything. He's going to kill you if he wants.
So you're going you're looking at the long term. It's like, man, I want to win this match, but I don't want to die.
I'm not going to, like a Royal Rumble to me, I get it gets you to WrestleMania. Eventually Hulk and I think Ultimate Warrior fought at WrestleMania this year. Shout out to Ultimate Warrior and WrestleMania. I don't know if this is the one or not. But to me, I don't want any part of fighting Andre the Giant because morally, I feel like it looks like you're just beating up on some crippled guy. And also, if something happens where he does get a hold of you, he could rip you in half like a phone book. So I'm good. But if I were trying to fight, I'd get everybody in the ring and I just say, let's knock this big 1,000-pound motherfucker out of the ring real quick.
You know, he hip tosses Warlord as soon as he comes in. And it takes Axe and Smash, both of Demolition, to eliminate Andre. And after this happens, the Red Rooster comes out. And this is one of my least favorite characters because it's the Red Rooster. How intimidating is a fucking rooster?
Do you think he enjoyed being that or he was pissed when they gave him that?
He hated it. Terry Taylor, the man, he hated that character. And he felt like they did that on purpose. He felt like, dude, there's no way I could succeed with this dumb character. The Red Rooster, like I'm gonna make a little red mohawk in between my blonde mullet.
Broke ass Shawn Michaels. I mean, he looked like, I was like, is that Shawn Michaels with the hair with fucking mohawk? Because I remember this character, but I don't know. I feel like remember Flying Brian Pillman, Psychopath.
Flying Brian, yeah.
I felt like maybe they knew each other at one point, and like Flying Brian actually got some notoriety, and Red Rocket or Red Rooster or whatever. Fucking, he must have like shit on Vince McMahon, and Vince heard about it and was like, "I got something for you, fuckhead."
Fucking
Red Rooster forever.
the Shawn Michaels you ordered off Wish.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he is.
Fucking Payless brand ass Shawn Michaels. It's
Not. Also, I gotta say, I forgot about the character Warlord. Like that big. I'm assuming that's that big ass bald white dude, right?
yeah, he
That
used to be in the
motherfucker
Powers of Pain.
was huge.
Yeah, he was. And
Give him an
Roddy
NFL
Piper.
contract, please.
And he's still alive.
Wow, that's for a guy that size in the 90s. I mean, what does he look like now? I can't even imagine. But what if he looks exactly the same?
Bald and
Just
like a
big
gas
as
station
fuck.
hot dog. It like a gas station hot dog you just left out and just
Yeah, bloated up. I mean, Roy. I mean, all these guys. That's what they were. They were like a packet of hot dogs that just took every roid you could possibly take, and that's what you got.
and Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown, they ended up duking it out and they head towards the locker room, and that would set up a feud that they would have in WrestleMania 6 that same year in a couple of months. And that would also lead to one of the most racist promos in the history of wrestling. I don't know if you remember, but Roddy Piper, he shot a promo, Braveheart style, where he's half black, and he had the match half black. And I don't know what his intentions were, because he was actually a good guy. He was a good guy, and Bad News Brown was the heel at the time. But hey, man, it was the 90s. It was 1990, and they just rolled with it.
I mean, they had Mr. Fuji out there. They had fucking goddamn. I mean, I feel just like Bad News Brown even is like, it just is, the character itself is almost just like a racist type of name. Like my wife is like, wait, that guy's name's just Bad News Brown?
His
There's a lot
finishing
of
move.
questionable shit like that.
Do you remember his finishing move?
No.
The Ghetto Blaster.
No.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, I don't know, in the time of Me Too and like going back, how the WWE has survived all of Kamala, the Ugandan giant, Mr. Fuji, fucking Bad News Brown. Was the Junkyard Dog black, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
he's
so like Virgil, a manservant that's just wearing glitter instead of a servant's jacket. It was as a white person, it's a little cringy. I do not in any way support WWF's racist characterizations back in the day, but
it was the sign of the times.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't even get how like they got away with it back then, other than, it wasn't as wide, but it just like wild to see some of that. Like Mr. Fuji's, and they literally are playing like ding 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 ding. It's just insane.
And out comes your guy, Akeem, the African Dream, with his manager Slick. The job so bro.
Another, I don't know if, Slick was exactly, I liked him, but I don't know if it was a good look or not.
He was kind of like on some player shit, on some pimp kind of.
Yeah, that's what I always like looking at him, especially when we watched it the other day, that he was a pimp, right? Like that was what he was supposed to be.
But he never had hoes. But he had a stable. He had a stable, of wrestler of big ass greasy white guys.
Yeah. Weird move to go in that direction, but hey, it's working, Slick. Keep going with it.
Bitch, where's my money?
Motherfucker, where's my motherfucking, stop dancing and give me some motherfucking money.
You gonna show that ass for some cash?
Y'all wanna fuck Akeem the Dream? You know what I got the dream, right?
Get your
Team,
big
show 'em how
ass
they
up
call you
there.
the Dream, right?
Yeah, after them comes Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and you know
Hot dog skinned fully. That's the most fullest hot dog skin. That's how old was he at this time? Because
man,
is he still alive?
no, he died. Was it last year or the year before?
Wow, he made it a while though. That's crazy.
He died, and so did the guy after him, Dino Bravo. He was actually murdered. I don't know if you watch The Dark Side of Wrestling. It's a series on Vice, and they had an episode on Dino Bravo, and it's still speculated that it's never been resolved, but they say he was murdered in a mob due to mob ties, and he was doing some cigarette smuggling in his native Canada, and
Oh,
yeah, he got in with the wrong people, and
cigarette smuggling?
yeah,
That's a literal storyline from Trailer Park Boys, the show. They smuggle cigarettes into Canada.
you know, and that was his life after wrestling. He didn't see anything coming out of it. You know, Vince had let him go, and he was trying to figure out like, what else do I do? I'm this big muscle bound motherfucker. I can't serve fries at Wendy's. I need to make some money. So
Wasn't his like name the world's strongest man? Was that him?
that he was one of those. They had a couple world's strongest men. You know, they said that about Hercules. They said that about Dino Bravo.
Mark Henry.
Mark Henry, but Mark Henry's legitimate because
Yeah.
he's got medals to show it. He's got receipts.
Mark Henry can dunk also, by the way. If nobody, there's a video of him dunking. It's insane.
I believe it. He's not a little guy.
I mean, literally no effort at all. He takes like one step and his big ass, at the height of his bigness,
Yeah.
jumped. And I mean, I was shocked. It was insane.
And that happened in the 90s. Well, not what you're talking about, but like him winning the medals.
Yeah.
But and after them comes the Earthquake, another Jimmy Hart guy, and he's no longer with us. But
You look close to death in this too, just like this, the pallor of his skin, just like, and but he is pretty athletic for a fat guy, I gotta say.
yeah, he was actually a sumo wrestler over in Japan. He did a little
Wow.
sumo work. Yeah.
I wonder if he ever crossed paths
yeah,
with Yokozuna then.
You know, Yokozuna is actually Samoan. He's one of the Rock's cousins. He's a part of that Samoan family. And his real name is Rodney.
Yokozuna's?
His real name was Rodney, yeah.
Wow, yet another questionable racial thing that the WWF did just to get a character out there. I mean, I would never have known that. So that's crazy.
With this current run, we're hitting a death carousel from Superfly Jimmy Snuka to Dino Bravo to Canadian Earthquake to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And he was one of my favorite tag team specialists.
This is the ultimate. He is the quintessential like Coke energy. That's all he had. That's all he had.
Yeah.
To the point that Bret Hart has to calm him down in the promo. He's like, take it easy, bro. Take it easy, Jim.
That's what I loved about him because it was a yin and yang. Like Bret Hart was the cool one. He was always like, hey, he was like the Fonz with the shades and everything.
He did that
too.
Wasn't he like, fucking Bret fucking Hart, dude. And he's not dead. He don't look the same, but he's not dead. Yep. I gotta.
He was fucking. And then here comes the animal. Yeah. I loved it, man.
That Bret Hart was one of my favorite wrestlers. He has one of my favorite moves. He had the cool, like even he was rocking pink and shit. I get it was the Hart Foundation, but the glasses, the hair, and his punching, like the way he would do a punch in ring I loved everything about Bret Hart. He's my favorite wrestler, but he's one of my favorite wrestlers for sure.
Easily a top 10.
Definitely.
Easily top 10. And the Hart Foundation, easily top 10 tag team of all time.
Them and Steiner Brothers. And I mean, this is like newer, and I don't know if people support it, but I just love their personas with the New Age Outlaws.
Oh, yeah. Now, by the time Jim Anvil Neidhart comes out, his teammate Bret Hart has already been eliminated. Now it's Jim Neidhart, Haku, Smash, Jimmy Snuka, Ted DiBiase, and Dino Bravo, and Rick the Model Martel. Tito Santana comes out, and Jesse the Body calls him Chico Santana, which I always found hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a tinge of racism, but it's Jesse the Body, and that's what he's supposed to do.
Weird.
And then after Tito comes the Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart, another Jimmy Hart guy. Now after them, the Ultimate Warrior, and he would eventually eliminate Ted DiBiase. Mr. DiBiase has been in the ring this whole time, and he lasted 44 minutes, 47 seconds.
I feel like that was always a thing in Royal Rumbles, though, because I remember Ric Flair doing this multiple times where he would go in first and make it to the end. Like there's always I feel like the guy number one, usually it's like a story of the Royal Rumble where this guy's been in the ring for an hour, you know, and he's just pouring sweat, you know, rumbling around a little bit, but salute to $1 Million Man. I thought he was going to go out early, and he did make it quite deep into this. So,
and out comes Hogan to a huge pop. He eliminates Jimmy Snuka and Haku before he even takes his shirt off. He hasn't even gotten to this, and he just eliminated two motherfuckers.
You can't just pop the shirt off as Hogan, though. You got to do a little bit just to get everyone worked up, because that's when you know everything's about to happen. So they
got to wet their chops. Yeah, they got to salivate.
Exactly. You can't just pop off right away. You got to make them earn it a little bit.
Yeah. Now Shawn Michaels is eliminated. He comes out and he's only in there for 12 seconds.
Yep.
And I believe that's the shortest time. He eliminated by Warrior, who then eliminates Rick the Model Martel. And then there was Hogan and Warrior.
I mean, the power in this ring at this moment of the Royal Rumble, you could feel it from Orlando, all like across the world when they smashed together those few times. And they just checked each other, you know, it's like Hulk, he ain't going down, and then Warrior ain't going down. I mean, were there like Richter scale pops when this happened? Because I feel like there probably was.
Dude, I know in Sandusky, the earth shifted a little.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was in Pennsylvania. I'm in central Pennsylvania at this time, and we were surrounded by mountains. One of the mountains cracked. Literally almost in half. It was crazy. I remember it well. And we thought, oh, was that an earthquake? And then my dad, you know, somebody called him from some office somewhere. It was like, oh, no, Warrior and Hulk Hogan just, you know, they went at it. That's what that was. Don't worry, guys. So.
Because this is the first time they were in the ring, I believe, ever.
Yeah, I think this is because this had started the rivalry. Because at WrestleMania that year, they fought each other, right?
Yeah, this is the WrestleMania, man, and you know, Hogan, he was the king of the '80s. He ran the shit, but Warrior, he was on his way up, man, and you know, it was only a matter of time.
Do you think he came into like a meeting with the same energy that he came into a promo?
I think he had that energy.
Ultimate Warrior, we want to talk your contract. So how do you feel about benefits? And I'm going to need more money. It's like, no, we can't do that all. You're fired. You're fired.
And you know, when they do their crisscross deal and they smash into each other, beat the shit out of each other, and they end up on the ground. And Barbarian comes out and he takes advantage. And, you know, Rick Rude comes out without a countdown. He said, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Warrior's down. I'm going to beat his ass now. And so he comes out early, and Barbarian and Rick Rude, they get to storming back in a fit of autism Warrior throws a fit of autism when they're all eliminated. They're all tussling by the ropes, which you don't do at Royal Rumble. You don't tussle by the ropes. And Hogan comes from behind because, hey, he's playing for keeps. So he throws them all out. Yeah,
also,
man. And that
Warrior's reaction when he goes out is one of the most insane and hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. Because he throws a tantrum, and first he's like, I think he goes back into the ring and like whoops some ass, but then it's like he snaps out of it and is like, Yep. And he just jumps out of the ring and is like,
It's like, but
my
the
wife and I
fans,
were like, what the fuck?
he was possessed. He moved to the beat of his own drum.
I mean, he had to go plan more ultimate shit to do. You know, he took some notes, and he was just in a rush to get backstage to just sort of coalesce all that on paper. You know, make sure he took some
You know.
notes from that.
Now,
That was
out comes
crazy.
Hercules, and then out comes Mr. Perfect in the number 30 spot, the perfect number 30. And eventually Hercules is eliminated, and it's just Hogan and Perfect, the last two left. Perfect, he goes to town on Hogan. Hogan's down for a minute, but then Hogan hulks up. He
Oh,
hulks up, and when he hulks up, it's a fucking wrap. What were those fucking things that Randy Marsh used to get? The fucking these
oh
things.
yeah, the
the
shake
fucking-
weights. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the shake weights. This is fucking before
Hulk,
the shake weight.
God, Hulk would just brutalize shake weights, dude. You can't even imagine what he would do to those.
When he pointed at you, done.
He gave you all like that look he gave. I mean, it still puts chills in my spine. So I can only imagine what Mr. Perfect was feeling. But I got to say, I liked Mr. Perfect in this because he had opportunities at the end here. He put a hurting on Hulk Hogan, which, you know, he's perfect, but how do you stand up to a mountain of a man like that? And he did really well to the point where he perfect plexed this guy for no reason. He was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm going to do my move real quick just to show you what I got. And I never performed a perfect plex on anybody, but I got to say the danger for both people in that seems unnecessarily high for what the move was. I feel like you could really fuck somebody up doing a perfect plex if you fucked it up.
Well, he didn't fuck Hogan up because
Nope.
when Hogan hulked up, he eliminated Mr. Perfect and then cue the music, and then Hogan must pose.
I mean, he had the same pose movements like for a decade. It was this, it was this, it was this, and rinse and repeat. And I gotta say, this was still Hogan coming up a little bit. He was at full Hogan, but I feel like in terms of fame, in a couple years, he got a little bit higher than he was right here. I mean, he's always been famous. It's hard to say that, but I remember like it must be maybe a Survivor series or something where like Macho Man and Jake the Snake were in a feud, and like Jake the Snake made a snake bite Macho Man.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? And then like maybe this was before, but like Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter were in like some kind of a feud, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a couple years after this, and I feel like then he went even bigger because like he got flamethrowed in the face and shit. Like I remember all that stuff, and it was cool to see this. It was definitely a time capsule thing because I haven't watched wrestling, like old wrestling, in forever. I've been to a couple newer things just because they happened out here and we got free tickets or whatever, but it was fucking cool to see all these guys, like even the job people that we were talking about, like Dino Bravo and the fabulous Rougeaus and shit. It was just like, I didn't remember any of them. I was just started laughing every time like the model came out or something. Just thinking about all these characters and how crazy they were.
This is still a good time for WWF.
Hell yeah.
This is before they go full cartoon and they start having wrestling garbage men and wrestling dentists and repo men and shit.
IRS, bro, Erwin R. Shyster. But I love that time too because it was just every character was so insane and hilarious.
There's about 15 dead people from this event. I hate to sour the mood, but I told you, man, I live in an underworld.
No one said wrestling meant you were going to live forever. When you're pumping that much testosterone and whatever the fuck else they were doing in the 90s, I'm thinking of all my favorite wrestlers from the 90s, and either they're dead, they have a history of drug abuse and they almost died, or they're still alive, but not really. Like, tell me an old wrestler from this time that's thriving. Like maybe Hulk Hogan, but that's because of a lawsuit. You know, he ain't.
Yeah, Ric Flair, because he's Ric Flair.
Yeah, him. That's about it. And even him, it's like, I don't know if he even knows where he's at. We saw Ric
Undertaker.
Flair in Florida one time. I remember that when I lived in
Was
Florida.
he drunk?
He was like, we were at some like place downtown, and I was at a sushi restaurant with people, but he was at some other like high class place in downtown Orlando, and we were walking out, and literally you could hear people like, "Oh shit, that's Ric Flair," and we just saw him like getting into some kind of town car or some shit. But I saw the Nature Boy, Steve, maybe 2008, and he didn't look. I can't say he looked drunk, but I hope he was. I hope he was living that life.
That's what he does, man. Gets sauced.
Woo!
Now, in 1991, MTV Unplugged premieres, and the band is called Squeeze. Never fucking heard of them, but they're more famous for their Nirvana Unplugged, their Alice in Chains Unplugged.
Oh yeah.
I believe they had a Lauryn Hill Unplugged maybe, and
They had
they had a
hip-hop
LL
one
Cool J.
too, I think. They did a couple hip hop ones, I remember, but I remember Nirvana and Alice in Chains because those are ones that I actually liked those bands at the time. But Unplugged was, I mean, that was when MTV was fucking dope still. They did music and they had some cool programs, but Unplugged was definitely a winner for that network for sure.
For sure. And they premiered in 91 on this day with Squeeze. And in 92, Robert Parrish of the Boston Celtics becomes the fifth player in NBA history to register 2,000 career blocks during the Celtics' 100-96 loss at Minnesota after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, our guy Mark Eaton, Wayne Rollins, and George Johnson. And Robert Parrish, they called him the Chief. And it wasn't because he was smoking doobies, but they named him after the character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the tall, stoic character. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I mean, a great movie,
yeah,
for sure.
He never spoke. He didn't say shit.
He seemed like that. He seemed like a badass. Like I mean, he was a big basketball player when we were little, like in the Larry Bird era and that Dream Team era. He was still like a viable player, and you didn't hear shit from him. You know, he just went out, did work, and consistently did it his whole career. So salute to Robert Parrish.
The Chief.
So, Dave, how was San Francisco?
It was great. Did you drive across the Golden Gate Bridge? No.
Did you see Alcatraz?
Is that there?
Well, what did you do?
I found this sourdough roll.
Introducing Wendy's Sourdough Bacon Cheeseburger. It's a San Francisco-style roll stuffed with a quarter-pound of fresh beef, Monterey Jack, bacon, and Dijon sauce.
Reminds me of when I was in San Francisco. I met this sailor.
Hey,
and
look at the time. Gotta go.
Yes, well, we only went to the library.
You can find it in San Francisco and at any Wendy's.
Now, in 1993, Martin, my favorite show of all time, your favorite show of all time, they aired that season 1 episode, Blackboard Jungle. You want to set us up, young Matthew?
So essentially, first of all, salute to Martin Lawrence and the show. One of the best shows ever. Definitely one of the best, if not the best show in the 90s. So again, like Steve said, this episode's called Blackboard Jungle Fever. It aired in 1993. This was episode 17 of season 1. Episode 17. We get like 8 episodes a season of shows now. Episode 17 of season 1. And they were already nailing it hard in terms of quality on this show.
Yeah.
And essentially what happens in this show, Martin is asked to go back and speak at a class of kids at his old school, and his old teacher, Miss Trinidad, is teaching. And Martin apparently thought him and Miss Trinidad had a thing. He explains, she, was beautiful and all this. And it's basically set up, she was this beautiful teacher that everyone had a crush on. And so they go and do it. And in the midst of this, Martin somehow asked Miss Trinidad, they start hanging out, they go out on dinner, and Miss Trinidad is a thirsty old cougar of a woman, a beautiful woman. God. And I just had to take a note of this. Miss Trinidad, let me find my note on this. She's actually a very famous person. She's one of the first black models that was on a lot of magazine covers. Her name is Beverly Johnson.
Yeah.
I know, I think like Vogue, she was the first black woman on that, but this woman is hot to trot, if as it were. So Martin gives his speech. The kids disrespect the shit out of Cole. He does what he tries to give these kids a little knowledge. They pick on him. Martin shows up, talks about, what he does. But then him and Miss Trinidad go out because they're just trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going and going. And Martin and Miss Trinidad just almost tears Martin's clothes off. Comedy ensues. Then Gina fucking catches him red-handed. I mean, Miss Trinidad is moments away from putting the dick in her hand. Gina walks in. Martin, I mean, how he made it through this, like, to me, in real life, what happens is Gina walks in, sees that, maybe whoops some ass, and then you never see her again because she won't give you a second chance. But that doesn't necessarily happen. So Gina walks in. Martin tries to go, hey, this ain't me. I'm trying to avoid this because he's not giving in. He's trying to not, be respectful of Gina. But again, Miss Trinidad, like, could you turn that down, Steve?
Miss Beverly Johnson, she was in Remember the Time video, the Michael Jackson song.
Yeah.
And she played the Pharaoh or Pharaohess. I don't know what you call them back then. She played the queen in that video. She's also the former Miss David Bowie. I don't know if you knew that. She's Mrs. Stardust.
Oh,
she
wow.
Was married to David. Yeah, she was married to David Bowie for years.
So that like David Bowie, I mean, that motherfucker could have had anyone, and this woman may have been one of the most beautiful people in the world at this time. She's, amazing. Even she's older in this too. I mean, salute to Beverly Johnson. Maybe rest in peace. I didn't look that deep into it, but
no, she's with us.
God, well, did she look the same?
I still have a shot.
Yeah, there you go, bud. Shoot that shot.
I'm sure of it, man. She still fine, and not just fine. I have to say it like a '90s R&B singer. Fine,
fine. But fine. I feel like her and Angela Bassett, if they get in a room together, like every dick in the world might like just be magnetized to wherever they're at. Exactly. Angela Bassett can get it anytime, but we're going to go back to Martin. So Miss Trinidad is just trying to fuck Martin. He's trying to avoid it. He's doing everything he can, but he's a dude. So like think about this. You're a childhood crush. You're an older guy. And it's almost like he goes back in time and he can't resist it. But Gina comes in, but Miss Trinidad says, she starts lying on him and saying, I didn't know he had a girlfriend, but she did. And I would never have done this if I knew you were around. And then she just leaves Martin in the biggest lurch of all time. And then by the end of the episode, he goes back to confront Miss Trinidad. And somehow Gina must have been tailing him, or she finds out that Miss Trinidad's a lion thirst trap. And I don't know if she had like boxing gloves in this bag, but she was ready to literally strip down and whoop this woman's ass in a classroom. So they get back together. But basically the arc of this episode is Martin almost throws it all away for Miss Trinidad. And I just got to say, very realistic episode, hilarious episode. I have a few notes on some very just like things I'd like to ask you about, Steve. So
go ahead.
Otis, one of Martin's signature characters from the series, a security guard who's blind, old, and everyone fucks with, but he can handle himself. Otis basically whoops a kid's ass at the beginning of the.
Do you recognize that kid?
He was Alfie from My Brother and Me, right?
That is Alfie.
Yeah. He was in this a couple of times if I remember right.
Yeah, he was.
But Otis puts him in a fucking locker and just starts slamming it with with a baton, and I thought that was weird. But I wanted to ask you, Steve. I know we're talking about this episode, but who is your favorite Martin character in Martin?
Man, you talking about one of his
Yeah, like the guy, the people he dresses as. Who's his favorite? Who is your favorite character of his?
Man, I gotta say Jerome.
Yep. See, that's why we do a podcast together, Steve. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Jerome's in the house, but he is my favorite too. I just wanted to know. He has so many. Close second, Dragonfly Jones, but
Dragonfly Jones are like,
yeah. I mean, Dragonfly Jones probably has the best like bits in some of the shows. There's one where he gets his ass kicked outside of like an ATM. And he's like gets beaten so bad he tries to dial 911 on the ATM. And if I watch it now, I'll bust out laughing. So I found that was interesting. But also I wanted to ask you about this. So a recurring joke in Martin is, what does Tommy do for a job? Right?
Yeah, that they say he doesn't have a job. And I feel like people overlook this episode. Still, we don't know it. We don't know exactly what the hell he does at the school, but he works in some capacity with the school. So that is somewhat of a clue. We just don't know exactly what the hell it is.
Yeah, I can't say what it is, but he has a paycheck from a job, so he works at the school. So I feel like maybe he lost this job, possibly because of maybe a fling with Miss Trinidad. Who knows? Who knows?
That's a risk I'll take.
I mean, it could happen, but I was interested that, I feel like maybe that like you said, they forgot about this episode whenever they started that joke.
Yeah.
But another thing I noticed that this show is an example of is how much a radio DJ was a career in the 90s. Like there were multiple shows where the guy was a radio DJ host, and that just was a thing. Like if you did that now, people would be like, what the fuck? It's like him, Frasier. I could name more, but there's other ones that like a DJ was a huge character in it. And I feel like that's not ever going to happen again unless they go and do like a 90s movie, like a look back. But I don't know. I thought that was weird, but I do like Kate. What is it?
Who's that?
WZUP. I was going to say, what's his radio?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of this episode? What are the hits and misses you thought, other than just Miss Trinidad being just
fine? Well, I do like the fact that Arthur Reggie III, aka Alfie from My Brother and Me, that he made a cameo, and also there's a appearance of Brandon Quinton Adams. You might not recognize him by name, but he was one of those quintessential Black young actors in the 90s. He was in, let's see. He was in the Mighty Ducks.
Class.
He was the kid in the class that was shitting on Cole.
Was he the pitcher in Sandlot?
He was in Sandlot. He was in the Moonwalker video. He was in Quantum Leap. He was in Empty Nest, A Different World. He was in Martin, of course. He was in Boy Meets World, Sister Sister, Moesha. He was one of those Black actors in the 90s. So he had some pretty epic roles. The Mighty Ducks was the big deal, and so was Sandlot.
Yeah.
I remember watching both of those as a kid, man. And the other kid that was with him, I don't have his name in front of me, but he was in Boys in the Hood. He's the other kid. And
okay.
He was the kid that said, I'm not African, you African booty scratcher, that kid. And
Deep cut on with Steve on that. I didn't even catch that one. God damn.
Cole lives with his mom and drives a 79 Pacer. It makes me feel a little bit better about my life. This is one of my favorite Gina episodes because it shows how much she's down for her guy, man. Look, like I did what I saw with my own eyes. Like I got the wrong impression, but let me add 2 and 2 together and hold up, something don't sit well. How did you even know my name before I came in the room? And you said I didn't even exist. You didn't even know that he had a girlfriend. I'm not stupid. So I'm about to take off my earrings, pull out my Vaseline, pull out my high top sneakers.
What was the Vaseline for, Steve?
I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, I forgot about it. You brought it up, and I remember while that was happening, I was like, "What is the fucking Is she gonna have a cut, man? Like, what the fuck?"
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. Maybe to protect her bruised knuckles from beating up one Miss Trinidad.
She did want to lay a
man,
lick, though. I mean, that was beautiful right there. I hope my wife would do some shit like that.
It's one of my favorite Gina and Martin moments, man. You go, girl.
Yeah, hell
Fisher
yeah.
Campbell. Yeah, man.
You go, girl.
You go, girl. This is definitely one of my favorite Gina episodes, man. But this is episode 17 of the first season, man, and
nailed it.
They did.
The thing this didn't have was Pam, which to me, the back and forth between Martin and Pam, that is one of the greatest parts of this show. When they started really getting into each other in the later seasons, like 2 and 3, god damn, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a thing until the later seasons, man.
Yeah. When Martin finds out Tommy and Pam are dating, like his reaction to finding that out is one of the greatest moments in television history of all time. So
yeah, straight up.
But no, man, I got nothing really else to say about this episode other than I know we're going to talk about Martin more. I have some classic episodes that either we're going to talk about randomly because they come up or we're just going to have to talk about them. Specifically the one where he New Jack City's everyone because his Discman is stolen and he has that fake dog.
That's the best episode.
Oh my God. It's one of the greatest. That is to me, one of the best episodes of TV period. So we're definitely going to talk about this, but I got to say it's insane to see a show that to me was so prolific be so good in the first season. It usually takes a little bit. I know they were 17 episodes in, but I feel like the tone of this show was so right away that they really, the only thing they stopped doing was the aside at the beginning of the episode, kind of, like the intro that he would do, just explaining shit, which I never liked anyway. So.
Yeah, and I feel like over time they probably didn't like it. That's why they got rid of it.
I think it was like a cliche thing in like 90s shows. Like if you went back, I bet there was more of that in other shows. It was probably just something they felt necessary to do.
Well, Saved by the Bell would do it in the early seasons. Actually, they would do it throughout. When Zach would break the fourth wall and he'd talk, kind of give you a feel for the episode or whatever.
Well, salute to Martin, man. I love this show. I love Martin the comedian, the human being, and one of the kings of the 90s, of 90s comedy, period. Bar none. His stand-up and the show. So
agreed. And he's one of the people that's on the no-fly list of Saturday Night Live. And on this day in 1995, Saturday Night Live had musical guests live and their host David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, Martin definitely was on that no-fly SNL list, though. But he has one of the best episodes that you'll ever see if you like him.
It really is. Did you see the Stuart Smalley skit that he did when he kept calling him Smurl? Oh, Smurl.
Smurl.
Dude, I think I'm gonna watch that.
Matt Foley one, though, where him and Matt Foley... I am his biatch.
I just sold you for a pack of cigarettes.
Tell him what's up, man.
Dude. Yes. Yes. He's got the cornrows. Oh my, dude, I'm gonna watch that tonight. Matter of fact, I'll watch that now.
Hell yeah, dude.
But yeah, in 96 on this day, January 1st, they had the Royal Rumble 96. And this is the one where Shawn Michaels won, Bret Hart fought Undertaker. And in 1998, Jack Lord died. He was Steve McGarrett. And that's the only reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is the guy who plays Steve McGarrett on Hawaii Five-0. I never watched the show. and I didn't realize that this was an actual character's name until much later in life.
Wow.
And me being a self-proclaimed pop culture nerd, I did my research on this show. I was like, wow, this guy's name's Steve McGarrett. Like, I feel like this is a dig at me. Are you like?
Yeah, I thought you were insulting yourself. Like, that's like the shitty version of you, like Steve McGarrett.
Yeah, well, yeah, the guy who played Steve McGarrett died in 1998, and in 1999, the first BCS national championship is held at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Number 1 Tennessee beats number 2 Florida State 23-16 at the 28th Fiesta Bowl. So,
Who was their quarterback? Was that Vince Young? No.
No, that was Texas. That was much later.
Yeah, my bad. Who was that?
In Tennessee, because Peyton Manning is already gone at this point. It's basically whoever replaced him.
Well, they probably just had a bunch of talent. I remember, I don't know. I remember those Fiesta Bowls because, you're an Ohio State fan. I was always a Penn State fan before all the nonsense. And we never got to really get to those heights that Ohio State did. So I always remember being butthurt watching those games, usually with Ohio State fans.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking scumbags, but I'm just
peerless pride.
I love it. I love Ohio, but I had to take a lot of punishment from you guys. So just, I'll remember.
Do you remember T. Martin?
Yeah, I do remember that. Is that who the quarterback was, or is that?
Yeah. T. Martin, and Florida State had Peter Warrick and Sebastian Janikowski.
Damn, slugger, the most normal looking guy that you've ever seen, but that dude can whale a fucking ball. He does not look like an athlete at all.
Peter Warrick. Peerless
I don't know
Price.
That name. Was he a running back or is he a quarterback?
Peter Warrick was a wide receiver. Yeah, he was a receiver.
Oh, okay. I think I'm thinking of Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn, yeah, completely different. But he did. I think Warwick Dunn was with Florida State though.
Probably. I mean, all those athletes from that time period, the biggest ones usually came from a Florida college, Miami, Florida, Florida State. Ohio State had a lot of big names. Michigan. There's some big teams back there. The teams we were always in our vicinity, like Ohio State, they were always sort of in the mix at that time, especially in the Fiesta Bowl and stuff.
And this game was called by Bob Greasy and Keith Jackson. And I miss his voice, man. I remember waking up on Saturday mornings, man, and hearing that, "Whoa, Nelly." This was man. It's just Keith Jackson was the shit, man.
Hell yeah.
Here come those Buckeyes. Whoa, Nelly. He's that boy. I feel like Keith Jackson is the Jim Ross of college football, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he left us about 3 years ago. He died in 2018, January 12th, man. So big ups to Mr. Keith Jackson. His voice is missed, man. Generations grew up hearing his voice Saturday mornings and afternoons, man.
Oh yeah.
So that was the 90s.
Damn. Well, I gotta say, Steve, this was a great episode. Again, we overcame some hurdles this week, so I'm just happy to be talking to you, to be doing this. I think that this was a great one just because we got knee deep in some vintage WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it. And I love it. But if you like Martin, I gotta say, as one of the co-hosts of this podcast, I'm gonna do everything I can to talk about all of my favorite episodes. So either they fall in line with the dates we release, or we're just gonna have to start picking off random great episodes of shows because I got a bunch. And when it comes to wrestling and Martin, we could go for days just talking about this. So I loved it.
Yeah, agreed, man. We got to find time for a couple of these.
Hell yeah. But Anything else to add to this episode? I think we covered it all, really.
Yeah, man. I think we got it all in the bag.
All right. Well, Steve, great episode. Everyone listening, give us a oh yeah in the comments. Yeah. Pump one up for China. I think, I'm going to always just rest in peace, China. I just feel like we just got to just give one to the queen up there. There's so many dead wrestlers that we've talked about. So one pump for every one of the wrestlers that isn't here with us. Live in power and all these episodes. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Happened in the 90s. All right, Steve. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right.
Peace.